Hi, welcome to my once a year YouTube video series where I talk about Dota 2. This video will be long and have me talking a lot without a lot of Dota, so my apologies for that. It's mostly a theory video, so if you're interested in that, then I guess keep watching. There will be some Dota though. So basically the concept of the video is that I've seen a lot of posts on Reddit, or even just like heard in conversations with people, about how they get into like argument with a person and then later on they'll have like the shower thought like, oh, I should have said this. I wish I could go back in time and rub in their face, it was the perfect thing to say. And life's unfair. We're not all blessed with like comedians' skill to spontaneously shut down hecklers. But luckily, Dota 2 doesn't completely mirror real life and has relatively similar scenarios like pretty much occurring every game. A lot of the idea from this video came from this concept called the 4 stages of learning. I recently wrote a blog about the 4 stages of learning on Liquid Dota. I'll link to it below, I guess, and how it applies to my casting. But I want to make a video sort of applying those concepts to Dota. The general idea of the 4 stages of learning is that you move from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence to unconscious incompetence. There's a little bit more nuance to it, but you should probably just Google it and read it from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. In application to Dota, the 4 stages of learning basically says that you want to move as many aspects as possible from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. And that's because I think Dota as a game has a lot of things to think about. It's an incredibly complex game. I think this is actually by design. Like, it has too many things for any given individual to think about. This causes a lot of mistakes. You have really dynamic gameplay, and it honestly ends up in it being really fun while still being incredibly complex. Everyone is just synced up, just messing up everywhere in the chaos, and it somehow results in an incredible game. What this also means is that if you have less of a burden about thinking about things and you're more able to focus on more important aspects, then you have a huge advantage because everyone else still has to think about those basic things. It's also sort of why most supports on pro teams do shot calling in the early game, because cores have to focus on more important things like, how they position the lane, their last hitting and counting their gold. Yeah. And basically the idea is that it's sort of low percentage to come up with a correct solution spontaneously, and you should try to pre-think things that consistently happen in Dota. In this video, I'm going to go over 3 key elements of gameplay that I think every player should try to pre-think, because I think they happen pretty much every game. So the first is last hitting. And last hitting is like a very easy concept, right? Like, everyone last hits in Dota. Not in Dota 1, but in Dota 2. But people are incredibly bad at last hitting. And my example for this is that Sumail was the best mid by far in the world in like 2015, 2016. Honestly, longer after that. He might still be the best mid in the world. I don't really know. But he told me that the main reason he was good at mid was because he was good at last hitting. I was like, what? Because it's such like a simple thing, right? And it's also like such a simple concept if you think about it. If you get 5 more CS and denies than your opponent because you're better at last hitting, you get your next item, more regen, everything faster than your opponent. So that means that you will get that early advantage, it'll snowball and you getting another advantage, and you'll be able to win your lane. It's why Sumail, like, he was talked a lot about he would spam regen in the mid lane and press his advantage, but the reason he could do that was because he consistently had more gold and EXP than his opponent. Strength in Dota is always relative to your opponent, so this last hitting advantage often snowballed him into dominating because he's always stronger than his opponent. Of course, he was like pretty amazing at every other aspect of mid lane, but I'm just gonna abuse the example because it's like a conversation that always sticks out to me. I think how this applies to the concept I'm talking about though is that if you do not have to focus on your last hits as much, then you can think more about other laning things. How to secure the pull, lane equilibrium, what timing in lane we can kill them. Do I need to call an ally to rotate? Can I go rotate? Am I getting ganked? All these different things you have to think about in Dota. It's overwhelming. But the end result is you can think about them more, so your laning will be significantly better overall if you can sort of unconsciously last hit really well. To work on this, I suggest, you can just go to custom games in the arcade, search, type in training. There's a game called Training Polygon. I really like this game. Just load this up, you start playing, and it's just gonna help you last it, or learn to last it. You go in it, you click the last it trainer, last it training here on the bottom left. Pick a hero that you sort of like, I'm gonna pick Gyrocopter, because I like playing Gyrocopter. You know, click some items that you want to buy. It's sort of jank, but whatever. These are the starting items I would have. Okay, maybe not that one. And start training. And the idea is that you're just going to go into this lane. You're going to practice CSing. And this game will actually tell you, the reason I like it so much, is it will tell you how off from perfect you are on the left side here. You know, it's a PogChamp. Ooh, is that a banned one? If you get a good one, it's a bad Papega if you get it wrong, which I really like. And you can practice this, and you can sort of see what your delay is. It'll tell you. I'm a god apparently. I just got like 2 zeros. But you can set goals for yourself. First you want to get every last hit, then maybe you want to get every last hit under 0.3 seconds, then 0.2 seconds, then 0.1 seconds, etc. And I think isolating core mechanics like this for improvement, it just improves you really fast compared to spamming full on tilt ranked matchmaking games where there's literally 5 million things to improve on. So what ends up happening is you just get information overloaded and then you don't learn anything at all. So this is something I've made a lot of my friends do when they've asked me like, how can I improve? I'm like, get better last hit. And they're like, what? I know the last hit. And make them do this. They get bad Papega over and over and they get better because they get better at this. For example, something that I think a lot of them did is they would run around like this a lot. They spin in circles, you're dodging spells, you have quick feet, and when the creep would be ready to last it, they'd be like facing the wrong direction, so when they click to last it, their hero would have to turn. Whereas if you can like run around so you can dodge spells, but when the creep's getting low, you face it, you just last it at the right time. Okay, I'm bad. But you get the creep at the last time. This is something that you can consistently do every game. Also, being called bad to peg every time you miss a CS is amazing. So that's the first thing I think that everyone should try to automate in their head. It's just, you last it really well, it's easy, so then all of a sudden you can focus on doing other things in lane. The second thing, similar to this, also related, is actually the laning stage. And this is the part where we'll actually look at some Dota. This application is basically to work with your teammates, establish a goal, and sort of like a default of what to do in lane. This will give you a general idea of how to play the lane that you can then build upon. And I know like it's hard to do this in matchmaking, but you should still do it for yourself. Maybe you can, use your communication skills to work with your teammate. Ideally, honestly, I think you should play Dota with your friends. Sorry, I just ate. Because it's more fun. Because my overarching theory in Dota is basically apes apart weak, apes together strong. So even if you do the wrong plan together in the lane, one, I think you're more likely to be successful in that plan because you just have 2 apes doing it together and you're strong. But if something goes wrong, it goes bad, you have something to point to learn from, which helps you learn a lot faster. Because after the game, you're like, hey, what did we do wrong in this lane? Okay, here's what we thought. This is what happened. Let's adjust our model based on that. Boom, improvement. Feels good. Whereas, like, if you do different things, like, you should have this, you should have this, like, what's the solution here? Like, you're both, like, thinking you should do different things. And you're like, I was right, you were left, I was right, whatever, and you don't learn anything at all. So, I want to watch 2 pro games for this, actually. They're both Viking GG games with Kezu. And I want to show that even at the top, like, this is something that can be improved upon. I've actually already watched his replays with Kezu, and on a side note, even though I'd like never compliment Kezu to his face because you don't want Kezu ego to get out of control. I'm just kidding. Kezu's actually one of my favorite humans to work with in Dota ever, and he's incredibly skilled. I really hope he succeeds. So I just want to watch the easy game in person to watch it. So in this game, they're laning. They're playing a game against Hellbearsmashers in, I think it was the Pinnacle Cup. I don't quite remember, but they're against a Wraithking Grimstroke. So if you just look at this lane, you should like try to evaluate what your lane is. You're centaur potm. You're really strong at last hitting with centaur space damage. You have high kill threat with some stomp nukes into arrow. You can secure range kills with arrow, and as soon as you get Vanguard or Hood in this thing, you can kick Wraithking Grimstroke out because they do not have the tools to kill you. It's not like they have some like they snowball on you with Ursa or something, right? So with this knowledge, you should try to plan out how you want to play this lane. I think that there are 2 ways to play this lane. So the first way is that potm shoves the lane in, so that centaur, like you arrow the range shape, you keep shoving the lane in, and because the lane is shoved in, Wraithking can't help, so potm and centaur can 2v1 the Grimstroke on the side, you can deward this camp, and you can arrow the hard camp and get an EXP and gold advantage, maybe even get a good pull off. And the second way, like that's a pretty good way to play lane, the second way is potm can arrow the range creep, centaur can pull the 3 melee creeps up, you can pull it back here, get lane control, and potm can use her creep wave advantage, because there are 3 melee creeps attacking the enemy, to force them to pull into the tower. Then, because you know the tower's killing your creeps, your lane's gonna push, because now you can hold it here for longer, because your tower's not killing them, and their tower killed the creeps. Personally, I think both these plans can win the lane. I think number 2 is more stable and frees up potm to, like, you know, gank top, TP gank top, or like gank mid, check runes, etc. earlier. Maybe even provide higher kill threat, but it's a personal preference. Like, number 1 is, I think, like, in theory, it's higher pressure, and you can force more mistakes by, like, shoving the lane and burn more regen. Or you can, like, lead to a stack on a hard camp, but again, both can work. But if we watch what happens in this lane, is that they try to execute both of these plans at the same time, because they're not on the same page, and this results in a bad result for the Dire team. So we watch here, they come here, you know, it starts off strong. This guy, Armis, he arrows the range creep, that's good, you know, arrows the range creep. Now they have 3 creeps on it. You can see here, Centaur is going to pull these creeps up, and now this guy has 4 creeps he can hit his opponent with. He keeps pulling it up, Centaur gets lane control, you know, but instead he's going to deward this camp because he's on a different plan. If they had the lane shoved in, then him leaving to deward this camp wouldn't be bad at all, because, you know, this lane would be shoved in, the support would be unable to help, Wraithking would be under here, Centaur would be happier. Instead, what ends up happening is because he's dewarding his camp, Centaur feels obligated to come over here just in case this guy comes over to body block it, you know, stun arrow dead. And what ends up happening is that you secure the hard camp. But the problem with this is that Wraithking is down here, the lane's in a good position, and he's free farming. He even gets this range creep deny here, which is really bad for Dire's side. In addition, if we follow the plan, potm is forced him to take him to the tower, Centaur wouldn't have to run over here and help, because he would just be hitting them, standing here with 3 melee creeps on them, hitting them with a creep advantage, and Centaur would pull these 3 melee creeps onto this range creep. So instead of getting this free deny out of EXP, the Radiant gets a range creep deny, and then they hold lane equilibrium, which is really important. So, sorry, I want to check my notes so I don't miss anything, but the end result is, like, because they messed up this plan doing 2 divergent paths, Wraithking gets really farmed, he's really happy, and this tower actually doesn't die until, whoops, that's too far, until like 10 minutes-ish, like you watch here. And look at the net worth during this, by the way. Like, this is a lane where I think the potm and centaur are favored, right? Look at the net worth, it doesn't die until the carry has to come rotate and kill the tower. And all of a sudden, this Wraithking is 4,600 net worth versus Centaur's like 3,800 in a lane where Centaur should have won. So basically, in summary, stupid Kazu, you suck, Kappa. So, no, seriously, Kappa, don't fucking flame him. Don't flame my boy. The second replay I want to look at, because that was a lane I think that they were advantaged in, is a lane, same series, I think, Pinnacle Cup, Hellbearsmashers versus Viking. They're playing Centaur Snapfire against Monkey King Winter Wyvern. So before we start looking at the lane, I think it's important to like work on the skill where you can think about the lane, the heroes, and how they match up, and understand that this lane is incredibly hard for Centaur lane. Just look at the skills, right? So Winter Wyvern has a skill that burns % regen. Centaur has high HP, it's good for him. He has high kill threat once he gets the second spell because it's 2 slows. Stuns are good for burst kill threat, slows are good for like longer extended fights. That's just about Dota's balance, I don't know. Monkey King has high physical damage and out-sustains you with his Jingu Mastery, and Centaur has low armor. So like, Centaur is double counterpicked in this lane. So that means that my read on this lane would be, you should play this lane to go even, or even not to die, because it's a really hard lane. That does not mean you should stand 1300 range from the creeps and get like denied XP, but you should try to get the most out of your lane while understanding your constraints. I'd also say like, they do have some timings in this lane. If Centaur gets like level 3 and Snapfire gets level 2 or 3, the lane's in a good spot, like up here maybe. Can't ping while it's paused, huh? Then you have a decent % chance to kill Monkey King. And if you kill him, you can keep snowballing kills on him. You can even bring the Lion, and he won't be able to lane versus you. And all of a sudden, this lane that was supposed to go horrible could have been won. So, in short, this lane is very hard. You should try to minimize what they get out of the lane, and you should keep the lane as close to your side as possible. while blocking the pose. And if you achieve this, you can even have some aggressive options. If you keep the lane back, Sapphire stronger than Winter Wyvern on the side. You just look at their stats and skills. So maybe if you keep the lane back here, they won't be able to pull. And if the opponents keep good creep equilibrium, you don't do anything to change the current default of the lane, you're going to lose this game. However, in this game, this Hellbearsmashers team actually messed up. They gave Viking a seriously good opportunity to like draw the lane or even win it from the start. Because it's 30 seconds, the creep wave is meeting, but these guys are messing around on the side to get a couple of extra hits on like this 5 Snapfire. So what happened here, what should have happened is no one blocked on Dire, no one blocked on Radiant, so the creeps meet really far forward. If you look at this tower range, what this means is if Kezu pulled these 3 melee creeps up, man, I can't ping, up here, then these 3 melee creeps stop attacking these creeps, and the only thing attacking the creeps is the range creep. So because the only thing attacking the creeps is the range creep, then these melee creeps will run at this range creep. However, sorry, I need to go back. It's sort of unfortunate. Kezu actually aggroed it from too close. You can aggro within 500 range of the creeps. Because he aggroed it from too close, if you look here, this one attack from the melee creep makes it so that the creeps follow the creep, and they keep aggro over here instead of running into the tower. But you can imagine, like, just play out the scenario where these creeps run into the tower, the tower kills them, maybe this range gets denied, whatever, you deny this one, or force Monkey King to stun, you drag the wave up, boom. Lane equilibrium secured, Snapfire stronger than Winter Wyvern on the side, all of a sudden, I think you've actually won this lane off this one thing. Laning's really snowbally. But anyways, like, the game goes on, the show must go on. So Kezu, he still manages to get decent heatwave equilibrium. He's looking pretty decent here. I was wondering, okay, this looks pretty decent for him when I was watching it first. But then their concept of the lane isn't correct. Look at this. They stomp the creep wave and go on the Monkey King. So the reason why this is incorrect is because as soon as you stomp the creep wave, one, you're stunning and damaging the enemy creeps. You're drawing aggro so the creeps hit you instead of so the creeps hit you instead of your creeps, which pushes the wave, and you lose equilibrium this way. Look at this. So drawing aggro on the creeps, it doesn't really do anything. You're not really playing to kill, to harass them. Your only opportunity is to burst them once you get this level 2 or 3 timing. So that stomp's not good because they're on the wrong game plan. And the same thing happens again, if you keep watching this, so I'm just going to zoom through it a bit. Again, okay, the wave's getting good, the wave's getting good, the wave's getting good, but then, boom, stomp again. And like, it makes it sort of bad for you because the lane's gonna push, we stomp all the creeps, and it's not in the game plan. With that said, like, all these mistakes are pretty small mistakes, and the thing is, like, making a mistake like this is sort of like a learning opportunity, and Kezu won't mess this up next time. He's a really good player. I don't want to like harp on him too much. It's very hard to make these small decisions in laning. And the entire point of the video is it's hard to make those decisions, so you should think about it beforehand. So these 2 mistakes, or I guess 3 because they're 2 stomps, results in like, look at this lane, how it goes on. So I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Like at this point, it's impossible for Kezu to lane. Like he's having to pull waves, Monkey King is absolute free farming, his game is sort of ruined. And like this is what the lane has become. Because, you didn't play for even, they played to try to harass this Monkey King. Now Kezu's like stacking waves here, small thing, but here he actually should have ran into the enemy tower so this range creep doesn't get the deny range. But like you have to die just to get something in this lane because they can't lane here anymore. And if they go with the plan from the start, sorry I'm ranting on this a bit, and I rolled out something but I'm still ranting. Maybe they get the lane back here and you think, oh, Snapper sees the lane is in a good position, he takes 1-1-0, Centaur takes 1-2-0, and all of a sudden they burst this Monkey King and they're winning this lane. And like this entire game has changed. I mean, Vikings still won this game, but yeah. The general idea with this entire thing is your lane plan helps inform your decisions, and more context means that you generally will make the better decision. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the Dota section of this. I'm just going to be talking a bit more about the third one. But I want to highlight that your goals in lane, or just this concept in general, are not like an all-in be-all. It's something rather to just guide you. If your opponent messes up in their lane, they overcommit or something, then you kill them. Don't think I'm playing for even or playing for behind. If they mess up, seize the opportunity and kill them. The point of this is to get on the same page as your teammate and lane mate, and it's not to like stop you from thinking. You still actively need to think about Dota. But the idea is that even if you two are on the same page about something wrong, you will do better, in my opinion, than trying to do two plans, sort of like the first center potm lane, where they had correct plans, both of them, but they're doing different things. Again, worst case, you learn. The last thing I want to talk about is team fighting. And I'm going to throw back to my last replay analysis, number 12. That one was on team fighting. But things like protecting the backline and how you do that are things that I think you need to think about before the plays happen. As aforementioned, it's both like low percentage and really hard and slow to come up with the best course of action in the moment compared to letting your training push you through. For example, and this is going to be a terrible example, so I'm sorry for this, but I think about like why anesthesiologists are so extensively trained and high paid, and you know, they just sort of sit there, they apply the drugs, and they monitor the patient. They don't actually do that much in most given situations. But the reason they're so highly paid and trained is because if something goes wrong, they have the training that will kick in, and it will give them enough context to make the best decision with the information at hand. And this is incredibly valuable. That's why they're paid so much. Value is paid, whatever. And you're not playing... Like, you're playing a video game. You don't have the same stakes. I'm not trying to say you do, but I think the overarching concept applies the same way. Like, if you thought about how to teamfight before teamfights happen, then the training will kick in, and hopefully it will lead to a good result, you know? I see something, don't run in and cast all my spells with squishy support, because I understand that the concept, I'm a backliner. I need to wait till I see some stuff, maybe I wait for the good opportunity, you know? I'm a carry. I don't dive under 5 into 5 heroes, stuff like this. Training leads to good results. And the other thing I think is that knowing how to play, like having a model of how to play during a team fight, also tells you what's the easiest way to punish opponents in Dota. This will be a little bit of a tangent, but I watched a really good rant from Day 9 about what to do when someone is doing something non-standard in strategy games. And the answer was honestly, like, if they're doing something non-standard, there's a reason why it's non-standard, right? Like, if they do something different, just go kill them. If they're doing something weird, and you're confused, get all your stuff, and go kill them. So an application to Dota teamfighting is if someone does something that's theoretically bad to you, you know, their carry jumps into 5 of your heroes to try to kill the support, then turn around and cast their spells in them and kill them. If they don't die, you know, maybe the enemy makes a really good play, then you might need to have a slight paradigm shift and adjust your model a bit, and boom, you know, you might have lost a teamfight, but that's self-improvement, and ideally it'll lead to winning more team fights in the future. And I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To get better at Dota, win MMR. So MMR, you know, whatever. But to sum it up, if your opponent dives too far in the team fight, it breaks your concept of what should happen in a team fight. Call it to kill him. You'll win the team fight. Anyways, like, that's pretty much it. I think you can apply this concept to most macro things in Dota that happen a lot. Like, for example, you can pre-think about what's my best farming pattern in a given situation. Should I cut 2 waves while farm Ancients? That sounds really good. Maybe I should do that. Do I need to farm Ancients in my farming pattern in general in this game? You can think of that before. You know, why is my stupid support not buying me cells and doing everything for me? I'm a core, I'm the king. You know, you can think about that before, so you can flame them better. And if you're constantly like updating your models based on the feedback that you get from playing the game, I think that you're more likely to improve and thus climb MMR. And, you know, everyone knows if you climb MMR, you're a better human being. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. New year, new me, new video. Thanks, bye.